Emotional maturity is not the same as being calm all the time. Many of us think maturity means never getting ruffled. We picture someone who is always composed, always serene, never showing a flicker of anger or a tremor of fear. But that is a myth. That is not what being emotionally grown up looks like. Real emotional maturity doesn't reveal itself when life is easy. It shows up in the storm, when your carefully laid plans crumble into dust, when someone you trust deeply hurts you, when a project at work fails spectacularly, when money gets tight, when a wave of profound loneliness washes over you on an ordinary Tuesday. True emotional strength is not the absence of feeling. It's about how you relate to your feelings. It's about what you choose to do in the thick of them. A person who suppresses their emotions, who puts on a calm face while a hurricane rages inside, is not mature. They're just contained. Emotional maturity is the courage to feel the hurt, the fear, the disappointment, the anger, without letting those feelings hijack your behavior. It's the ability to stay connected to your values and integrity, even when your heart is pounding and your mind screams at you to run, to hide, or to fight back with brute force. A ship is not built to stay in the harbor. It's built to navigate the open ocean, with unpredictable waves and sudden squalls. Our emotional lives aren't meant to be perpetually placid. We're built to experience a full range of emotion. The goal isn't to avoid storms. We can't. The goal is to become a skilled, steady captain of our own ship. Know how to read the weather of your inner world. Steer through rough waters without capsizing. Find your way back to shore, battered but wiser. This is the real work of growing up emotionally. Discard the idea that maturity means being an unfeeling robot. It's the opposite. It's about being fully human, fully feeling. Develop the capacity to hold the messy, the beautiful, the sometimes painful human experience, with groundedness and self-awareness. Most of us were never formally taught how to handle our emotions. Think back on your education. We learned algebra. We learned history. We learned how to write essays. We learned how to dissect a frog. We learned the importance of showing up on time. We learned working hard. We learned following the rules. We were taught how to perform. We were taught how to achieve. We were taught how to make other people approve of us. But where was the class on what to do with envy? Where was the lesson on navigating grief? Who taught us how to sit with the discomfort of failure without letting it define our worth? These crucial life skills were almost entirely absent from our curriculum, leaving a huge gap in our development. This lack of emotional education is not anyone's specific fault. It is a cultural blind spot. We tend to prioritize the intellectual and the tangible over the emotional and the internal. We celebrate promotions. We celebrate degrees. We rarely celebrate the courage it takes to apologize. We rarely celebrate the strength it takes to set a boundary. As a result, many of us enter adulthood with a high-functioning intellect, but a seriously underdeveloped emotional toolkit. We are like brilliant engineers who have never been taught how to use a screwdriver. We can build complex structures in our professional lives, but we struggle to repair the simplest cracks in our personal foundations. As children, we often learn to manage emotions through trial and error, or by observing the adults around us. If we saw our parents slam doors when they were angry, we learned that anger is something to be expressed explosively. If we were told to stop crying when we were sad, we learned that sadness is a feeling to be suppressed. We internalize these messages without question. We carry these unexamined emotional habits into our adult lives, where they continue to run the show from behind the scenes. We find ourselves reacting in ways we do not understand, caught in cycles we cannot seem to break, because we are operating on outdated, unhelpful emotional programming. The consequences of this missing emotional education are not abstract. They show up in very real and painful ways in our daily lives. One of the most common signs is reactivity. Instead of responding to a situation, we react. A critical comment from a boss sends us into a spiral of shame. A partner's forgotten promise triggers an explosion of rage. This reactivity is a defense mechanism. It is our emotional system hitting the panic button because it lacks the tools to process the situation calmly. The result is often more damage. We say things we cannot take back. We burn bridges. We create chaos where there could have been a conversation. A small problem becomes a major crisis. Another significant cost is the repetition of painful patterns. Dating the same type of person over and over, ending in heartbreak, finding yourself in jobs where you feel undervalued and overworked. These are not coincidences. They stem from unresolved emotional issues. We are drawn to what is familiar, even if it is painful, seeking chaos because it feels more alive than calm, confusing anxiety with the butterflies of true love. Intensity feels like connection. Without self-awareness, we repeat our history. Emotional immaturity also hits your finances. For many, spending becomes a tool for emotional regulation. Feeling sad, buy a new outfit. Feeling anxious about work, order expensive takeout. A fleeting relief, a temporary high. Short-term fix, long-term consequences. Debt piles up, creating more stress. That stress fuels more quick fixes. A vicious cycle from not sitting with difficult feelings. It's not about the money, it's about the emotion driving the transaction. Finally, confusing intensity with intimacy is a hallmark of emotional immaturity. A healthy connection is built on trust, consistency, mutual respect. It is calm, steady, and deeply comforting. For someone unaccustomed to safety, calm can feel boring. They chase drama, high highs and low lows, passionate arguments, tearful reconciliations. The roller coaster feels like love, but it's shared dysfunction, not deep connection. It keeps both people on high alert, prevents genuine vulnerability and trust, the bedrock of lasting love. So, what is emotional maturity really? If we strip away all the complexity, it can be defined with a few simple, powerful actions. It is not a personality trait you are born with. It is a skill you cultivate. At its core, emotional maturity is the ability to create a space between a feeling and an action. It is the power of the pause. Anger, fear, jealousy, shame. The immediate impulse is to react. Emotional maturity is the practice of stopping for a moment, even just for 1 second before you speak or act. That tiny sliver of time is where your power lies. It is the space where you get to choose your response, instead of being a slave to your reaction. Within that pause, the next step is to take responsibility. This does not mean blaming yourself for everything. It means shifting your focus from what others did to you to what you can do now. You made me angry. It's their fault this project failed. The mature response is to look inward first. What is my part in this? How am I contributing to this situation? Taking responsibility, even for a tiny fraction of the problem, is incredibly empowering. It moves you out of the victim role and into the driver's seat of your own life. The third piece of this practice is learning to sit with discomfort. Feeling bored? Scroll through your phone. Feeling anxious? Binge watch a series. Feeling lonely? Numb it with food or shopping. Emotional maturity is the willingness to feel your feelings without immediately trying to fix them or run away. Finally, emotional maturity involves naming a feeling without being consumed by it. I am angry. I feel anger. The first statement is an identity. The feeling has taken you over. The second statement creates a little distance. You are the observer of the feeling. You are the sky, and the feeling is just a passing cloud. By naming it, you tame it. You take away its overwhelming power. Pause instead of reacting. Take responsibility instead of blaming. Sit with discomfort instead of escaping. Name your feeling without becoming it. This is the work. When you begin to cultivate emotional maturity, the changes are not just internal, they ripple outward, transforming every area of your life in concrete, tangible ways. One of the first places you'll notice a difference is in the quality of your decisions. When you are not making choices from a place of panic, from fear or ego, you think more clearly. You make decisions that align with long-term goals and values, not short-term relief. You choose the job that offers growth, not one that simply offers escape. You invest money wisely instead of spending to soothe a fleeting emotion. Your life is built on a foundation of intention, not impulse. Your relationships undergo a profound transformation. You stop making others responsible for your happiness. This frees your relationships from a heavy burden. You have fewer explosive fights and more constructive conversations. You can hear feedback without getting defensive. You learn to set healthy boundaries, which actually brings you closer instead of pushing people away. You begin attracting friendships with emotionally grounded people, building a support system of mutual respect and genuine care, not shared drama. Another major benefit is dramatically less chaos and drama in your life. As you grow, you no longer need external chaos to feel engaged. You find deep joy in calm, simple things. Quiet mornings with coffee, meaningful conversations with friends, walks in nature. Your nervous system learns to relax, and your baseline becomes peace, not high alert. Let's make this real with a story. Imagine two people, Sarah and Tom, who both work as project managers. They are both leading important projects, and on the same day, they both find out they have lost a major client. The news is a huge blow. For Sarah, the immediate reaction is a hot surge of panic and anger. She storms out of her office and gathers her team. Her voice is loud as she demands to know who messed up. She blames the marketing department for not providing enough support. She blames the tech team for a recent bug. She calls the client unreasonable. She calls the client disloyal. The result of her reaction is that the client relationship is burned beyond repair. Her team is left feeling demoralized. Her team feels scared. Her team feels resentful. The chaos intensifies and productivity grinds to a halt. Now let's look at Tom. When he gets the same news, his stomach drops. He feels a wave of disappointment and a sting of failure. But instead of reacting, he pauses. He closes his office door, sits down, and takes 3 deep breaths. He allows himself to feel the gut punch of the loss for a few minutes. He writes down what he is feeling. Hurt. He writes, worried about my team. He writes, embarrassed. Then, he starts to ask a different set of questions. What part did we play in this? What can we learn? He calls the client, not to argue, but to thank them for the partnership. He calls to ask for honest feedback so his team can improve. He then calls his team together. He starts the meeting by saying, "We lost the Acme account. This is tough news, and I know it's disappointing. Let's take some time to understand what happened so we can learn from it and get stronger." The difference in outcome is staggering. Sarah's reaction amplified the problem. She created a toxic environment of blame and fear, making it impossible to learn. Her focus was entirely external, blaming others, blaming the client. Tom, on the other hand, contained the problem. By pausing and taking responsibility, he created psychological safety. His team did not waste energy defending themselves. Instead, they focused on problem solving. They analyzed the client's feedback. They identified 2 key areas for improvement in their process. The loss was painful, but it became a powerful lesson that made the team more effective. They went on to win 2 new clients in the next quarter, applying what they had learned. This is emotional maturity in action. It is not about not feeling the pain of the loss. Tom felt it just as acutely as Sarah did. The difference was in the choice he made in that critical moment after the feeling arose. He chose to pause instead of panic. He chose curiosity over blame. He chose to lead with vulnerability. He chose accountability. This choice did not erase the setback, but it transformed it from a dead end into a doorway for growth. His emotional maturity did not just save his team's morale, it turned a failure into a future success. This is the power we all have access to when we commit to doing this work. Growing your emotional maturity is not something that happens overnight. It is a practice, like learning a musical instrument. It is also like learning a new language. It requires patience. It requires consistency. It requires a willingness to be a beginner. You don't need drastic changes all at once. Sustainable growth comes from small, deliberate steps, repeated until second nature. Add simple practices to your inner toolkit. Start with 1 or 2 that feel manageable, and build from there. Practice them when you're calm, so they're there when you're stressed. First, practice naming your feeling. It's simple, and a game changer. When a strong emotion rises, pause and label it. Say it out loud, or say it to yourself. This is anger. I am feeling hurt. I notice anxiety in my chest. This act, affect labeling, creates a small but crucial distance from the emotion. It moves processing away from reactive emotional centers toward the thoughtful, observant prefrontal cortex. The feeling becomes an experience you are having, not who you are. Second, master the 30-second pause. When you're triggered, fight or flight kicks in. You need to signal safety to your body. The easiest way is your breath. Stop and take 3 slow, deep breaths. Breathe in, count 4. Hold, count 4. Breathe out, count 6. This gives your nervous system a chance to downshift. That 30-second pause often prevents a knee-jerk reaction. It's your emergency brake for emotional flooding. Third, ask a more useful question. In pain, your brain asks terrible questions. Why does this always happen to me? What's wrong with me? Those questions lead to shame and helplessness. Redirect to empowering questions. What do I need right now? What is one small thing I can do to make this 1% better? What can I learn from this? A useful question shifts you from victim to active participant. It turns pain into fuel for productive action. As you begin this journey, it is important to understand why this work can feel so difficult. One of the biggest obstacles is fear. Our brains are wired for survival. Our emotional system is a primitive and powerful alarm. When it senses a threat, real physical danger, perceived emotional threat, rejection, failure, fear, feels incredibly urgent. It screams at you to do something. Now. Send that angry text. Quit that job impulsively. Eat the entire pint of ice cream. It promises immediate relief every time you give in to that fear-based impulse you are reinforcing. The fear you are teaching your brain that the only way to handle discomfort is to escape it. Another major hurdle is the sheer force of habit. We are creatures of habit. Our emotional responses are deeply ingrained patterns. Many of these habits were formed in childhood, learned by watching the adults around us. Household shouting, automatic response. Raise your voice, vulnerability seen as weakness, habit, shut down and withdraw. These patterns run on autopilot. Changing them feels like trying to write with your non-dominant hand. Awkward, unnatural, slow at first. It requires conscious effort to override decades of programming. This is why patience and self-compassion are not optional. They are essential tools for this journey. You will try to pause. Sometimes you will fail and react anyway. You will try to name your feeling. Sometimes it will overwhelm you before you get the chance. You will fall back into old patterns. This is not a sign that you are broken. The work is not failing. It is a normal part of the process. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. When you slip up, the mature response is not to beat yourself up, but to get curious. Ask yourself, okay, that didn't go how I wanted. What happened? What can I try differently next time? Each failure is just data. The path to emotional maturity is a slow one. It is not a race to a finish line. It is a lifelong practice of returning to yourself again and again. It is about choosing the harder right over the easier wrong one small moment at a time. The good news is that every time you choose to pause, every time you take a breath instead of lashing out, you are carving a new neural pathway in your brain. You are weakening the old reactive habit and strengthening the new responsive one. It may feel like nothing is changing from day to day. Over time, these tiny choices accumulate, building a life of greater peace, clarity, connection, growth over time. Learn to say, I am feeling overwhelmed and sad right now. And then, in the next breath, ask, what is the next right choice I can make? This is not calmness for appearances. This is deep internal strength, heart and mind working together, not against each other. Emotional maturity changes everything because it changes the one thing you control, you. It changes you from the inside out. Pause. Take responsibility. Choose your response. Reclaim your power. Not a puppet pulled by strings. Old hurts, fears, reactions of others. Act with intention. Act with care. Life reflects conscious choices, not unconscious reactions. Anxiety fades. Quiet confidence grows. This internal shift creates external changes. Your days feel less chaotic. Your sleep improves. Your work gets better. Your love deepens. Show up with honesty. Show up with vulnerability. Don't scapegoat your partner. Build a life that feels authentic, grounded, truly yours. This is the promise of growing up emotionally. Ready to stop being ruled by your emotions? Build a life with more clarity, purpose. The invitation is here. The work is simple, not easy. It requires courage. It requires commitment to practice. It's the most rewarding work you'll ever do. Take one small step today. Choose a practice and try it this week.